Hey everyone, welcome back to Crypto Cash. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having a great day. Let's take a quick look at WIF hat. Very quick analysis on what's going on here. We're entering our support range between 52 and 55 cents. So solid amount of accumulation has occurred here in the previous time frames. So we want to be mindful of that. Let's quickly look at some liquidation data and go ahead and get you on your way here. So hit the like button before we get started. Thank you so much again for that. If you want to check out our Twitter, Telegram, and Discord, I've got shorts and everything else coming your way there for you to try to make this a little bit more digestible. Also join us over at Bitunix, folks. Nice, awesome exchange. No KYC or VPN required there, and they've been really good to us. So I just got to say thank you and you're welcome. So let's take a quick look here. 50 to 45 cents, massive amount of liquidation to the downside. So it basically implies we have a lot of longs in the market right now, expecting the price to bounce off this level. 50 cents is at psychological support, so there's a decent chance we come down that low. We'll get a pivot or a bounce. From a macro perspective, once more, 50 cents is that obvious indication of reversal there at that point. Now, we could be seeing reversal too. We're starting to see the liquidation delta starting to bottom out here and kind of plateau. Typically, when that happens, the price will reverse itself because people start taking more and more longs and the price goes up. Bitcoin's also maintaining a certain range right now too, between 94 and 95,000. That's a good sign. But here for WIF hat, it's generally positive, but it's not like phenomenal. In other words, we want Bitcoin to really get back up over 95K to ensure that a lot of alts or meme coins have a tendency of continuing to run. If we look here, let's actually zoom out here a little bit. Let's go ahead and look at our 1 month open interest, because open interest tells us a lot about support and resistance ranges and where the amount of accumulation of volume is. Okay, so see here, 48 to 50 cents, right in that range is a pretty heavy concentration, and then 42 just below that. Okay, so we can kind of see we get into the low 50-cent range, solid chance we bounce from there. So it's kind of what we're looking at there in the back end liquidation data. So let's take a look at the front and kind of recognize where we're at on the daily, because the daily time frame is still in good shape. We're over the 20 and the 50-day SMA, usually a favorable sign there when you stay and remain above those. Okay, so we could even draw a trend line out here and recognize we're working our way up nicely. In fact, let's draw a trend line out from this guy here, just so we can kind of pay attention to that 20-day SMA. Okay. So we are an ascending trend line right now. We can recognize too, based on fib levels, that we are likely in that 0.5, 0.6, and 8 support range, which is right there between 45 and 51. That's perfect. Generally speaking, these are really good signs here. We can see our support and resistance range is in between those two key fib levels. When we look at 0.5 fib here, 0.5 or 5, 50 rather, on the RSI, sorry, we can see that we're maintaining above that. It's generally a favorable sign with stochastic swinging down. Most coins are also diverging on the daily, so we got to recognize that potential further downside is likely just based on that sentiment, but I don't attach myself to a daily MACD divergence. It has to have other confirming factors. Now, while we are below our local high here of about 58, 59 cents, that could be a resistance for us. We'll pay attention to it. But right now, we're in decent shape here. Let's take a look at the larger time frames here for a volume. And we see the most amount of volume above the price at about 62. And then secondary right there where the price is at right now at 55. So we can see 55 cents is a very desirable price point for this coin. Looking at the 4-hour time frame, we also want to recognize too that we are still below 50 in the RSI. MACD is trying to converge but hasn't yet, and our money flow index is pretty low. So these aren't like things you look for to be like, I'm going to take a long. Right? You don't look for that because obviously these are more divergent or bearish signs. Okay, so the important thing to recognize right now is to ensure that we stay in this range and don't go much further down, pending Bitcoin doesn't do the same thing, right? Because Bitcoin is holding its current support level for the moment, but it's kind of on a razor's edge there as far as that little support range that we're in right now. If we lose this, we could see the price drop really hard. We have an inverse power of 3. There's a lot of reasons why we may see further downside for Bitcoin. And if that happens, I think the low 50 to 52 cent range is probable for this coin. So I would much rather wait for an opportunity in that area before considering a long. I think taking a long just yet without a potential bottom in place is a higher risk, lower reward potential ratio there. Okay, so your risk to reward is lower if you're going to consider a long right now. So I'll clean up the charts. I'll post that playout chart on our Twitter, Telegram, and Discord. It's all available for you there. Once more, check out Bitunix too, folks. They take good care of us. No KYC or VPN required, and a nice deposit bonus with my link. I hope you have a good rest of your day, though, folks. Thanks so much again for your support. I look forward to seeing the next one. Have a great rest of your day. Take care.